Greetings, everyone. Welcome back so quickly to another Electric Avenue chat room session. Pardon the mess behind me. I guess it is a record store, so I guess you probably expect it to be messy. I just want to talk about some things that are happening. Uh, Man, the news can really change a lot in a week. So here we have the CDC out there saying, "Hey, you don't have to wear masks and everything's great." And you know what? It's too much too fast for me, and I understand that this is like a nationwide recommendation. I think for us, still, with as many people that are getting infected with COVID, we're going to still have a mask requirement inside the store for a little while. The reason that I'm saying this is there's a lot of people that still haven't been vaccinated. A lot of young people haven't been vaccinated. So, in order to protect myself and them from picking up something and transmitting it, I think it's just best for a little bit longer. You'd think like the amount of time it takes to schedule a vaccination and then wait for it to fully cover a person, it's going to take a few more weeks. So I know that everybody's really itching to do it, and I see it out on the street, but I don't know if we're ready for indoors quite yet. And many of you have been following my story for a long time. And you might remember a few years ago, my wife came down with a very severe illness, ended up in the hospital for a few months, and nearly died. And when she came out of that situation, it took several months of sort of rehabilitation, still not where she should be, but or where a normal person would be, but had several bouts of the flu coming out of that, even though vaccinations had been given. And let me tell you, when you've seen a person get as sick as that and then they're battling the flu, it's just like illness on top of illness. And as severe as COVID can get, nobody needs to deal with that, including people in my family. So I hope that people understand this for a little while and kind of follow the store guidelines as much as possible. So, what does that mean for Record Store Day? Well, June 12th, that's the first one. We are going back to a line. I've made the decision. As much as it pains the people who really enjoyed the curbside, I'm sorry. And it's one of those things where you cannot please everybody. And it was so, I think, convenient in a way because you could kind of like get your time, get what you wanted, and then sort of be gone. In a way, it took out the social aspect of being in the store and seeing what else was in the store. So it was sort of a mixed bag. It was successful and it did what it needed to do when we needed it to do it. But I think because things are being lifted the way that they are, we're kind of having to reconsider. And so we'll probably require or strongly request masks for people. And definitely only like 10 to 12 people in the store at a time, I think, and sort of move them in like groups because I can't have lines of people in here breathing on each other. Even in masks, that's kind of close. Okay, so anyway, I think you sort of get the gist of where I'm going here. I'll keep you posted as to when, hey, we can run around without masks and life is great. The messaging from the top has been sort of weird because all of a sudden we're going from serious to, yeah, isn't this great? And, I think too much too soon. You can wish what you want to wish, but people are still getting sick. So, hey, it's not worth it. 14 months of work. You want to throw that away? All right. Anyway, let me get to some new releases and happier things here. So, the Black Keys are back today with a fantastic new blues covers record, Delta Cream, which you can kind of see is the name of the ice cream pull-up stuff there. Yeah, so they do songs like Crawling King Snake, Coal Black Maddie, Mellow Peaches, Poor Boy Long Away from Home. Apparently with very little rehearsal, they just went in and did it. It's actually really good. I was listening to a little bit last night. So definitely you'll want to check that out. I've got a few copies of the limited color pressing, but they were heavily allocated. So once those are gone, probably within the first couple hours today, I'll have plenty of copies of the regular edition, so that's fine. But you'll want to check it out. Also, new St. Vincent, colored vinyl pressing. I love this alternate cover of Daddy's Home. This is sort of kind of an homage to 70s soul, a little bit of a throwback. It reminds me in parts of sort of like David Bowie's Young Americans as far as the vibe and sound that she's going for. Kind of New York in the 70s or whatever, even though that was a Philly record. Thank you, Philly. Anyway, if you like St. Vincent, check that out. Paul McCartney's Ram. This is like probably one of his best or most acclaimed records, and it was one of the first. Last year he came out with the half-speed mastered version of McCartney. This time it's the half-speed mastered version of Ram. I think the last time it was a record store day item, and they were probably considering that again, and then just said, you know what, it was so popular, let's just put it out and not even deal with trying to put it out in the middle of all that. So, yeah, if you like Ram, probably sounds fantastic. Steve Miller, or Steve Miller Band, 1977 live. There's not a lot of live official Steve Miller albums, so I would definitely check this out. 17 live tracks, 2 records. If you want to hear him doing Living in the USA, Space Cowboy, Jet Airliner, Take the Money and Run, The Joker, Rockin' Me, and Fly Like an Eagle, among others, this is the record that you will be wanting. It looks great. All right, a little bit of a bigger project here. Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young's Deja Vu box set. You can see it's sort of a nice book format, and they kept the really nice print on the cover that's sort of textured with the gold foil. It's very nice. Remastered record and 4 CDs. It's the only way to get it, so if you want the vinyl, I'm sorry you have to buy CDs. If you want the CDs, I'm sorry you have to buy the vinyl. There's no way to split them out, but it's still a very good value at around $100 for all that stuff. And I had a lot of requests for it. Okay, something I passed last week that I didn't have at the time was the triple vinyl of Van Morrison's new record. I guess he's cranky. They say he does a lot of trying to get political and sort of be an anti-vaxxer and anti-mask wearing, and so if that's your thing, I guess. But I mean, Van is pretty much, what he's basically going to give you musically, I think. So anyway, if you like Van, that's a big project. He was bored. Weezer, Van Weezer. So this was supposed to come out a year ago. This is pink vinyl. I think I've shown it once or twice now. Yeah, I mean, if you don't do anything else today, listen to Bluedream, which is lifts a heavy portion of Ozzy's Crazy Train. It's kind of a silly record, but they sound like they're having fun. So go Rivers. And then also another one I've shown a little bit, Royal Blood. Their new record, Typhoons, which is very super catchy. If you like Queens of the Stone Age, Josh Homme worked on it. It's catchy, groovy, like a groovier Muse. I think it's already been popular. I think it's going to be a record that's around for a while, which is very cool. Dua Lipa, speaking of records that have been around for a while, this is a great album that came out last year, Future Nostalgia. This is the Moonlight edition. It has 8 bonus tracks. It's a double record set now. New artwork. One of the best dance pop records of the last year. Also, if you're into indie, kind of, well, I don't know how indie this is, but the sort of Billie Eilish school of singer-songwriter type. This is the new Girl in Red, which is kind of getting a lot of press and sort of buzz. All right. Ooh, sorry, I gotta get my second pile. Go-Go's, God bless the Go-Go's. 20th anniversary of a reunion album. My gosh, how much time has passed. Blue vinyl. This album was pretty good, pretty catchy, and is sort of famous for Unforgiven, which was written by Billy Joe Armstrong of Green Day. Fish the White tapes. This is some live Fish, I think, or oh no, early recordings. Sorry, on silver and white splattered vinyl. There's some other Fish stuff on the way. If you like 80s sort of dance or pop British stuff, one of the best bands of that era, Erasure, sort of grew out of Yaz. Anyway, but this was one of their best, most popular albums, The Innocents, and it had A Little Respect and Chains of Love, their two really big American hits. There were some other Erasures that came out. The follow-up, Wilds. We have Chorus, which is a great record that came up after Wild, and The Circus, which came out before The Innocents. There are others out there, but those are probably the most hit, sought-after records, I would say. On the jazz side of things, R&R now. This is Robert Glasper and Christian Scott with Terrence Martin. It's sort of a hip-hop jazz sort of project, so if you're into that sort of thing. And then a couple jazz reissues this week of note on Impulse. Ray Charles, Genius and Soul, equals jazz, and Gil Evans Orchestra, Out of the Cool. Sorry, these all have acoustic sounds stickers on them, which is one of the most highly sought after pressing. This was done at Quality Pressings, but they sort of they want to get on what Blue Note is doing with Tone Poets because they've been so successful that Impulse wants to kind of do their thing. And speaking of Tone Poets, these came out last week. I showed them once. Dexter Gordon's One Flight Up and Andrew Hill's fantastic Passing Ships, which has some real great people. Joe Farrell, I can't even say it, Woody Shaw, Dizzy Reese, Ron Carter's on that. So if you're into jazz, I highly recommend those pressings. They're like slightly cheaper than what a normal audiophile pressing would be. And lastly, I don't have many of these left. Hank Mobley with Art Blakey, Soul Station. We were supposed to get Art Blakey's Monin at the same time, and that actually didn't show up because Blue Note didn't make enough of them. So, but anyway, there's only a couple of those left, and I don't know how much longer we'll have those and be able to get them. Probably they're not gettable already. All right, so that's kind of the new release rundown. I did a bunch of new releases last time, so if you want to see more, go check that out. I want to talk a little bit about Record Store Day and squeeze these things in here, and I basically wanted to run down some of the releases. So if you've got 10 or 20 minutes, here you go. So the ones I think that are getting the most requests and are of note, and these are kind of a mix between the two. The Allman Brothers, first of all, The Final Note. This was the album that Duane Allman, it was his last performance with Allman Brothers, and so they say the sound quality is sort of mixed, but anybody who is an Allman or Duane fan will probably be wanting that. So second on my list here of highlights, Beastie Boys, Aglio Olio, which was an early set of sort of punk things that they did. And I remember when that came out on CD that it was actually fairly sought after just because it was kind of rarer Beastie Boys things. So that's kind of cool that they're releasing that. Let's see. Beck's Hyperspace, I suppose I should mention. It has some remix tracks from it, a couple, or I guess, bonus track, and different cover art, or altered somehow. Black Sabbath, a couple of reissues on picture disc. I'm not really sure why they're doing these because they just reissued the same two albums a few months ago as double vinyl editions with extra tracks. They're mainly collector's pieces, I think. You're not buying picture discs for the sound quality, although I'll say I don't think the picture discs sound nearly as bad as they did back in the 70s or 80s for sure. So you're getting something that at least is going to sound decent. Let's see, The Clash. Theirs is like a live performance and a radio interview broadcast I think that's definitely one that collectors are going to be into if you're into the Clash. I mean, not a ton of live Clash albums out there, so why not? Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. I showed Deja Vu, the box set. There's an alternates. So some of the bonus tracks that were in that box set are going to be coming out on vinyl on, I think that's the July one. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. The Cure. The Cure is always sort of a big deal for Record Store Day. Last year, Blood Flowers finally got reissued on picture disc. One of their most sought after albums, I think, as far as trying to find a vinyl. This time we get Faith, which I think a lot of people already have that record. But definitely Wild Mood Swings, a very underrated 90s record for The Cure. Want is a great song. The single, The 13th, had an awesome video and song. Wasn't a massive hit, but Mint Car was another one. I think it's a very underrated record, the follow up to Wish. Check it out if you haven't. Originals are selling for $300 or $400 online now, so this is the reason to put that out, right? For Cure fans, even if it's a picture disc, it'll still be passable. Let's see. Miles Davis, Champions, rare Miles from the complete Jack Johnson sessions. I don't know what to say except Miles is always popular at Record Store Day, and especially anything that's late 60s, early 70s. The Doors, Morrison Hotel sessions. Again, this is another like parts of a box set that are put out on vinyl. Morrison Hotel is a very strong album for the Doors, and that should do really, really well. Oh gosh, the thorn in my side, Bill Evans. Every Record Store Day, there is a Bill Evans piece that comes out, and they are always so difficult to get. And I don't know if it's just that they don't make enough or what the deal is, but I've gotten to the point now where I start ordering extra just in case. So hopefully we'll have enough to meet some of the demand of Bill Evans this time. I don't know, it's always a nightmare. Fear, the record, great punk record early on pink vinyl with a 7-inch included. So if you're a punk fan, I think that's a big deal. Flaming Lips, Soft Bulletin Companion, probably their biggest or second biggest selling record overall. I could be wrong, it might be third. But anyway, maybe one of their best albums for sure, and I think a lot of people will be interested in the bonus material for that. Aretha Franklin. So she's got a live record that they're releasing, Philly in 1972. The reason that I think that's going to be big is not just because it's Aretha live, but also because it's in Philly and this store is in the Philly area, and I think it's going to be a big draw for people. And 72 was a pretty good live era for her. Rory Gallagher has some acoustic stuff, another volume of that. We've had him before. He's got a whole new fan base that have discovered him. Garbage, and I'm not referring to Rory Gallagher, the band Garbage, No Gods, No Monsters, their new album. There's going to be a limited Record Store Day version of that comes out pretty much the same day or time that the regular album comes out. So if for some reason you can't get the Record Store Day one, the regular record will be out there. I don't know about this Gorillaz box set. I don't think they're making enough of them, so I wouldn't really worry about it, honestly. And most of those records you can get on their own. Ariana Grande, K Bye For Now. That's a live record, I believe. And I think that that's going to be really kind of big because it seems like a lot of kids and a lot of pop fans have kind of discovered Record Store Day. And I've already had a fair amount of requests for that. So get ready, Ariana fans. Okay, Grateful Dead. There's a box set. Live in 72. Grateful Dead, always one of the biggest sellers at Record Store Day. Same with Jerry Garcia. There's going to be a box set for him. The Jerry Garcia Band album. There's a double CD. Anyway, that's coming out, which will also be... those are both popular pieces. Hall and Oates. The reason I mentioned Voices is because it's one of their biggest albums, and they're also a Philly band. So I think that that's going to be popular on a colored vinyl, at least as a collector's thing. The Donny Hathaway live should do well, especially for people who like him or Aretha. Those will be things that they're sort of looking for in the soul market. There's a Jefferson Airplane, which is sort of leftovers of some of their early stuff. I think that, there's a lot of Jefferson Airplane fans still out there. One that I think is very interesting is the Elton John, which is sort of a cobbled together version of an album that was supposed to be his debut album, and then they released Empty Sky instead, so this was shelved. But Regimental Sergeant Zippo is very Sergeant Pepper sounding, and a lot of these tracks were in Elton's box set, and they've kind of pulled them out and made a real album out of it, which is very cool. Go check that out on YouTube if you haven't heard the song. Lady Gaga, the reissue of last year's Chromatica in a sort of deluxe edition. I think some people were a little underwhelmed with the visual presentation of that album, so that might do pretty well for Gaga collectors. Linkin Park's Meteora, I don't know if I need to say much about that, except I think that's going to be pretty big. A lot of people looking for that album for a while. Let's see, Lupe Fiasco, there's a box set. Had a lot of people ask about this, especially like right as I was placing orders. All my orders have had to be in now, but the Food and Liquor series, I think because the records are impossible to find, there's a lot of people that are kind of interested in that. Let's see, Joni Mitchell, there's more archival material, which is cool. I'm glad they're doing some stuff with her. Thelonious Monk. Let's see, there is Palo Alto, the Custodians mix. So this was the recording that the Custodian originally had before they passed it off to the record company to clean it up for release last year. Recorded live in a high school gymnasium in the late 60s, so very cool. There's some Monkees rarities, which I know that sounds kind of maybe funny, but there's a lot of hardcore Monkees fans out there, and there's 3 volumes, so I think that's going to be kind of a big deal. Pearl Jam Alive, probably one of the biggest releases. An EP. I think there's a Beatles cover on there. So Pearl Jam fans, get ready. You're going to want that. Tom Petty. There's something called Angel Dream, which are songs from the She's the One motion picture, but it's kind of, I guess, separating them from the soundtrack and sort of using more of the Wildflowers material in another way. So that's been a very, very popular set. The Police live in 79 and 83, 2 different pieces. If you're a Police fan, I think those are great. The first one is obviously like the Roxanne Message in a Bottle time, and the second one is Synchronicity. So they've got a lot more past music to draw on, but there's not a lot of live Police vinyl out there. Prince, gosh, you got to get The Truth. The Truth is like, it was the bonus disc in the Crystal Ball CD set in the mid 90s, and it's acoustic, and it's a really pretty great acoustic album and finally deserving of its own release. Rage Against the Machine, a live record, New York, Mexico City, definitely going to be a hot item for sure. Ramones, another live record, popular. Replacements, bonus stuff from the Pleased to Meet Me box set. I think that's going to be big. Rolling Stones, well, there's a Keith Richards single. Then there's Rolling Stones. There's a 10-inch that's from the Black and Blue tour, early 2000s. That was just announced. And then there's Hot Rocks on colored vinyl, which a lot of people have Hot Rocks, but maybe they want a colored vinyl. It's collectible, right? St. Vincent. There's a single of her doing Nine Inch Nails' Piggy, and it's backed with another, like, sort of, I'm trying to find where that is. Anyway, Piggy is the A side. So I think, oh, there it is. Sad But True, Metallica. So definitely that's of interest. Steely Dan. The two albums that were their final two Against Nature, which was the big Grammy winner the year it came out, and Everything Must Go. I think those are going to be very sought after. Cat Stevens, let's see, music from Harold and Maude. That is being released as two different colored vinyl records and split between the two record store days. So hopefully, if you want that, you'll get a second shot at it if you miss it the first time. Sublime, there's some Scientist and Mad Professor mixes, which is kind of cool. Tears for Fears, if you're a big fan, which I am. 1985, that's Everybody Wants to Rule the World and Shout era. You're going to want that. It's a radio broadcast, I think, but still, like, fantastic era for them live. 21 Pilots, there's some sort of sessions piece. U2, there's a kind of a weird colored record called Fire that's I think it's a 7-inch. Couple of soundtracks, Eternal Sunshine and Life Aquatic, getting a lot of requests on those. The Who Face Dances Deluxe with extra tracks. Amy Winehouse remixes that has a Jay-Z feature on it. And finally, Warren Zevon's Preludes, which is like early Zevon stuff that his son, I think, discovered. Early versions of songs that ended up getting recorded later. So there's a lot, and those are just the highlights. I could go on for like 2 hours on this stuff, but I think discussing Masks, new releases, and this is already one of my longer videos. So anyway, I hope that that sort of kind of gets you a little excited. So remember, June 12th, July 17th, those are the two Record Store Day drops. Go to the website, recordstoreday.com. It will tell you what's coming out on which one. Don't get confused if you see some things that are like, oh, I don't know where that is, because England has their own Record Store Day, and sometimes there are things only released there that are not released in the US, so you have to plan ahead and see how you're going to order those too. So anyway, like I said, long video. Thank you very much for taking the time to spend it with me and sort of listen to my concerns and what I'm trying to kind of message to you guys. And yeah, it's a strange time. I mean, I think it's as hard getting into the disease and how we deal with that as it's going to be getting out of it. It's just going to be more kind of step by step and bumps along the way, and hopefully not people screaming at each other in stores. I mean, oh, where does it end, right? Okay, thanks so much. That was it. Have a great day. See ya. Be well. Get vaccinated for us to move forward. Peace.